Go inside the Crimson Tide. Tider Insider TV with Rodney Orr and Gary Harris.
To present the 21st Annual Biletnikoff Award to...
He may have come up short in the Heisman Trophy voting, but Amari Cooper won the Biletnikoff Award last Thursday night as the best wide receiver in the country. It's the first honor for Alabama football. The junior from Miami led the country in receptions and receiving yards, setting several schools and conference and records in the process. Like I said, the first Biletnikoff for Alabama goes to Amari Cooper. And good evening, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Tider Insider TV alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm Gary Harris. Our program brought to you every week by Buffalo Rock, proud bottlers of Pepsi products like Pepsi Next, which, as I say often, is all the, there we go, I love that, all the great Pepsi taste. 2/3 less sugar, only 60 calories per 12-ounce can. Goes down smooth. All right, Rod, Alabama had a little time off after the SEC championship game win, but the big news today, back to work. And I guess what? If you're going to play inside in the Superdome, you might as well practice inside, and that was the case today as Alabama opening Sugar Bowl preparations indoors. And a spirited practice, Rod. You and I were both there for the media viewing session, and we got to see this team really looking, in my opinion, hungry, focused, and ready to get after it.
You know, I was really only there. We were only in for a few minutes, Gary, but while we were there during the media viewing period, did not see Cam Robinson at left tackle on the field. You know, he nursed some injuries throughout the last part of the season, so I don't know if Coach Saban addressed that during his press conference and wasn't able to attend after practice. But also, the big news, and I'm sure you're going to mention, about Bo Scarborough.
Yeah, we're going to get to him in just a moment. You mentioned Coach Saban meeting with the press. Just has wrapped that up as you get a good look there at Derrick Henry. And we got a little bit of sound for you right now from Coach Saban. This is his press conference with media members just a few minutes ago.
Well, you know, Will's my friend, so I don't think I should tell you what my conversations are with my friends. All right, he's my friend. He worked for me for a long time. He did a great job. So if we have a professional conversation about, you know, his future and what he's going to do and what I don't know that that's up for everybody else to know. I mean, I really don't. I don't want to say it's none of your business, but I just don't think it's for anybody else to know. If you want to ask Will what we talked about and he feels free to tell you, then that's fine, but I don't, you know. And if Terry asked me, what did you and Will talk about, I would say it's none of her business either.
Obviously, he was asked about Will Muschamp taking the Auburn job and if he had any conversations with Will, and I think he pretty much summed that up. What he talks to Will Muschamp about in private stays in private, and that's what you got to like about Nick Saban. But another guy that we want to focus on today, and you alluded to it a little bit earlier in the practice video, we have not had an opportunity to see him on the field in an Alabama uniform until this afternoon. Former Northridge star, of course, he later transferred to Tuscaloosa County High and then to IMG Academy down in Florida where he played his senior season. Came back, graduated from Tuscaloosa County High, was a credit or two short, did not get to enroll in August, but is set to enroll now, and because this semester has ended and he's a January enrollee, he is eligible to practice, and that's Bo Scarborough.
Well, Gary, we've had how many questions since the last?
About one a week.
A lot of questions on Bo Scarborough, certainly over the last year and a half or so, but, you know, there he is. He's participating in his first practice, wearing jersey number 1 for now at least, and, you know, when you look at him physically, that's all you can really, you know, talk about in terms of what we saw today. I mean, he certainly looks the part. Gary, you know, a big running back with a lot of speed and very quick feet.
Yeah, wore 6 in high school. Of course, Blake Sims is 6, but that number is going to be becoming available on offense, so don't be surprised if you see a number change in the near future.
Well, and you know, a lot of people are probably going to say, you know, will he play in the bowl game? You know, if he played in the bowl game, he would lose a year of eligibility. So
very unlikely.
Yeah, we're going to get that question, so might as well go ahead and address it now. Very doubtful.
But this is great practice time for him, a great opportunity to get his feet wet and be even a little kickstart before spring practice.
Well, you're exactly right, Gary. This is almost like 2 spring practices for Bo Scarborough. You're talking about going through these practices, 15 practices or so leading up to the first game. If Alabama wins that, he gets more practice time. Then we talk about spring practice where he has 15 more practices. Then he goes into fall in terms of the summer practice. Summer camp, he gets 29 more practices. So he's going to get a lot of experience under his belt in terms of of being ready and prepared to go into next year.
Yeah, again, all we could do today was give him the eye test, but about 6'2", about 225 or 230, ripped like a bodybuilder, fast, fluid athlete. So something to be excited about.
Yeah.
And you know, he was a big-time recruit. Alabama gets a lot of them. Their opponent coming up under Urban Meyer, Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl, gets a lot of them. They're consistently ranked at the top of the rankings. And Alabama, over the weekend, picking up another commitment from a Mississippi youngster. But Rodney Womack, longtime commitment for LSU, 6'6", 318, certainly looks the part of a right tackle, which is what he projects as at Alabama.
Let me tell you what he measured exactly at Alabama. 6'6", 3/4, 312, Gary. That's coming down 23 pounds from what he was about a year and a half ago.
Wow.
He's ran a 5.05 40. I mean, he's almost a 5 flat 40. That's incredible for that size in terms of, you know, his ability to move. And, you know, he had been committed to LSU for quite some time, as you mentioned. Ole Miss was really making a strong push. There you see Ohio State offered, several other, you know, really prominent programs offered. But I think he's a really good fit at Alabama for this reason. Number one is I think his work ethic fits perfectly into the way they do things here. I don't think he's afraid to work at all. And I think another thing is, Gary, that he's really a big physical offensive lineman that knows how to line up and run block and do the kind of things that Alabama really likes to do physically.
Well, like coaches say, you can teach technique, you can teach a lot of things. You can't teach 6'6", 6'7", and over 300 pounds. That's a gift from the man upstairs. All right, we're just getting cranked up good on TITV. Up next, we'll check in on the Bama alums in the National Football League. A couple of them game Johnny football, an Alabama-sized headache on Sunday. Plus, we'll welcome a special guest, Kristi Dosh, ESPN Sports Business reporter. She'll discuss the business of college football in terms of the playoff, what it all means. We'll discuss. And coming up, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. The information on the screen on how you can get in touch with us. 205-348-WVOA. That's 348-9882. Email us, TITV@WVOATV.com, or reach out to us on Twitter using the hashtag TiderInsiderTV. We're back after this with more TITV. Johnny football had plenty of success against Alabama when he was at A&M, but in the NFL, not a good start. Wallace Gilberry, former Crimson Tide defensive end, give me some of that money. He gets the sack. Then Drake Kirkpatrick, who's really stepped it up this season for the Bengals, Rod, gets the pick right there. All in all, it was a miserable start for Johnny football for the Browns. But then again, it is just one game, but a couple of former Crimson Tiders getting some payback on Johnny football. Other notable performances from the NFL this weekend by Alabama players: Eddie Lacy, 97 rush yards. The guy only got 15 carries and a touchdown against a good Buffalo defense. Darius in that same game had 4 tackles for the Bills. Roman Harper just keeps on making plays. He had a sack for the Panthers. And Dante Hightower calling the signals for Bill Belichick's defense and having a Pro Bowl type year. 8 tackles, a half sack, and a forced fumble in the Patriots win over the Dolphins. Well, we know that the NFL is certainly business, but now more than ever, so is college football. And the new college football playoff beginning this year, to some degree, is representative of the fact, Rodney, that it has become big business. And to talk more about that, ESPN business reporter Kristi Dosh is with us. Kristi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Very well. Thanks for joining us. I'm going to start by simply asking you about this playoff, what it means for college football, for the schools, for ESPN, for the fans, and how big of an improvement financially will it be over the BCS?
Yeah, there's so many things that are different this year. First of all, the Power 5 conferences, which obviously includes the SEC, are going to see a lot more money. Last year under the BCS, they each received $27.5 million. This year, the base is $50 million. Wow. That's just the base level. Beyond that, they can make additional money if they have teams who are in the semifinal or in other access bowls. And obviously, the SEC did really well with that this year. You've got Alabama playing in a semifinal game. That's worth another $6 million. And then you've got Ole Miss playing in an access bowl. That's worth another $4 million. Then the SEC has a contract with the Orange Bowl. They will not be in the Orange Bowl every year. They will rotate with Big Ten teams and also with Notre Dame. But in the years that the SEC has a team there, which is this year with Mississippi State, they will receive $27.5 million. So it's almost $90 million just from Alabama, Ole Miss, and Mississippi State this year. And then, of course, they'll make additional money from teams that are in other bowls. You know, the Birmingham Bowl, the Taxslayer Bowl, all those sorts of bowls will also add additional money to the coffers. But it's huge, and it's not just the SEC. You know, I use that as an example, obviously, because you all talk about Alabama. The other conferences are going to see enormous gains like that as well.
Money, money, money.
Hey, which brings us to the next question, Kristi. I mean, there's a lot of talk out there about, you know, will this playoff system stay at 4 teams? Will it eventually kind of develop into an 8-team playoff? What's the forecast?
You know, I honestly believe that we're going to stay at 4 for 12 years. That's the contract that they drew up for the college football playoff starting off. I've talked to people, you know, within college athletics at various different levels and within various organizations, and everyone is quick to tell me that there's no way it's going to increase during that 12-year term. You know, when you think about the money that might be available if they did make it larger, make it 8 teams or even more than that, you know, it's easy to sort of believe that they would cave into the pressure because they want that additional money. But I don't know, the people I've talked to have been pretty adamant about it. So I'm going to say I believe it'll stick at 4 for 12 years. But I definitely think when that period is up, they would look at expanding it.
Interesting. All right, Kristi, I know you mentioned the Power 5 conferences. You spoke specifically about the SEC and all the money that's going to be raked in. But there does seem to be a financial divide between the Power 5 and the other Division I FBS schools. UAB, for example, very close to us, just dropped the football program. So I know, we'll get to your book in a moment, I know a lot of schools are making millions off sports, off football, and it's helping in terms of recruitment and everything else. But what about the non-Power 5 schools? Are they going to be able to exist in the current model moving forward financially?
So it is a really big difference. You know, I think I said before the base amount for the Power 5 conferences is going to be $50 million each from the college football playoff. That's whether you have a team in the semifinals, whether you have a team in an access bowl. I mean, no matter what, $50 million each. The group of 5, which is the other 5 conferences, they are going to split between all 5 of them $75 million total. I've been told that $60 million of that will be split evenly, so that would give you $12 million per conference. And then the remaining $15 million is going to be distributed based on performance within each conference. You know, obviously a huge divide if you're talking, you know, $50 million base for the Power 5 versus a $12 million base for the Group of 5. It's still 3 times more what the Group of 5 was making under the last deal, under the BCS, with the exception of the American Athletic Conference, the former Big East. They were part of that sort of upper tier previously. So they're actually the only conference that's going to take a hit under the college football playoff. You know, there's more money in the system, but the proportions haven't really changed. So I think the situation that has existed for years, if you want to call it haves versus have-nots or however you want to characterize it, that is going to continue and possibly only get worse.
Well, the genie's out of the bottle, there's no doubt. It's not going back in, and it is going to be a interesting study going forward to see what happens between the Power 5 and the other schools. All right, real quickly before we let you go, you've got a really interesting book. I've only read the excerpt, but Saturday Millionaires, How Winning Football Builds Winning Colleges. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the book really came about based on what I learned. I was a practicing attorney who was just a big college football fan, and I started writing about the finances of college athletics and various business issues around college athletics, and visited a lot of different campuses and just kept learning things that I didn't know as a fan, and it really changed how I viewed college football. So the book is sort of my attempt to teach other college football fans all the things that I had access to, because obviously the average fan might not ever get access to that information. So I cover everything from conference realignment to television contracts, you know, what schools actually do with all that money that comes in from football, how football can benefit the university as a whole, all those sort of topics.
Real quickly, I know it came out last year. Tell people where they can get it.
Yeah, they can go to www.saturdaymillionaires.com is the homepage for the book. You can find links if you want to buy it on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever you want to download it there. I also have personalized signed copies that you can order there. And, lucky for me, the book is still up to date.
All right.
I'm sure something's going to change in college football and it's going to be outdated, and hopefully the publisher will let me write an update at that point. But for now, I was lucky that I snuck everything in before publication.
Thank you so much, Kristi. We appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
All right. Coming up on Tider Insider TV, postseason honors continue to roll in for the Alabama Crimson Tide. We'll update you on some more of those. Emails and tweets. Again, there's the information on the screen on how you can get in touch with us. We'll be back with more Tider Insider TV right after this timeout. It's a regular occurrence under Nick Saban. More postseason honors rolling in for the Tide. That includes Amari Cooper being named the SEC Offensive Player of the Year, 5 players on the first-team All-SEC squad, and 2 first-team Walker-Camp All-Americans. And here's a look at some of them. And Alabama now, on one team or another, Rodney, has had 28 first-team All-Americans since 2008, and at least one in 7 consecutive seasons. You don't think recruiting matters? And development too, of course, but you got to sign great players and then develop them.
And I tell you what,
they do both very
when you
well.
develop them and they earn honors like this, that helps recruiting, so it goes hand in hand.
No doubt. That's an amazing number. All right, let's head to the Med Center hotline. First up, our buddy Trey in West Blockton. Hey, Trey, what's up?
Hey, what's up, guys? Apparently there's been a threat of, NCAA violation or whatever in terms of recruiting. So let me see. Rodney, from the information you've gathered, does it seem like Deron Payne is leaning one way or the other at this point, and he's a behemoth. Right. So can he possibly be a high-impact two-gap guy at the next level?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, Trey, I think Deron Payne will come down to Alabama and Auburn, and I think Alabama's been in really good shape with him. I think that they think he's certainly an outstanding player, can play maybe a couple of spots along the defensive line, and a lot of people think he might be the best pure nose tackle in the country, Gary. So there's no doubt, Trey, he's certainly a very good prospect, and Alabama has got some really good defensive linemen here now, and certainly they could always use more because the turnover certainly goes really quickly. I mean, you look like a guy like Jaron Reed, for instance, he could be gone after this year. So, I mean, you have to continue to recruit outstanding players. Yeah, no doubt about it. And defensive linemen are where titles are won in the SEC. All right, let's go to Helena and talk to John. Hey, John, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. My question is, what is the status of Adam Griffins? I'm thinking that the field goals are going to be important in the Ohio State game. Is his injury better, and have they cured? Do they know why he's hooking the ball or missing it? Is it because the laces are not out from the holder or it's not tilted right? Just your ideas of what may be his problem. Right. Thank you. Well, John, we do know that Adam has had some medical issues because Coach Saban has said that in terms of, his health, in the things, maybe parts of the body, whether it be back or hip or whatever it might be, that's kind of limited him in terms of getting practice time and kicking and what have you. I do expect him to be available. Whether or not he's 100%, I mean, I really couldn't answer that because that hasn't been addressed. But I tell you, Gary, he hit the kickoffs really well. He hit them really strong. I thought he hit the extra points really well. He just, like John alluded to, he hooked that ball to the left, and for whatever reason, I don't know if that was physical, if it's mental. He's really struggled since the opener when he went 4 for 4 against West Virginia. Still think he's a really talented kicker. He gets the ball up high in a hurry, so it's still got 2 years left. Remember that, John. All right, more TITV coming up, including a long overdue invitation for Blake Sims. We'll tell you about that, and more of your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Give us a call right now. Phone lines are open, or email us, or send us a message on Twitter, however you want to get in touch with us. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide. Tider Insider TV returns right after this. Well, most fans and media types didn't even think Blake Sims would be the starting quarterback at Alabama, and all he's done is had an all-star campaign. Last week, Phil Savage announced that he will be invited to the Senior Bowl, or has been invited to the Senior Bowl in Mobile at the end of the
month of January to show off his skills for NFL scouts and coaches. Congratulations to Blake. All right, back to the Med Center hotline we go. Joseph is in Tuscaloosa. Joseph, go fast. We're running out of time, buddy. Joseph. Joseph, you with us? All right, Joseph wanted to know about the team's health, how healthy they are going into the Ohio State game.
Yeah, I think they should be okay. Now, we did mention that Cam Robinson was not at practice today, but he wasn't in the media viewing period, which is only about 10 minutes, so we really don't know if he participated after that. But, you know, I expect them to be, you know, pretty close to 100%.
Yeah, I mean, going to have some time to get ready and get healed up. All right, let's take an email from Ronald in Gadsden. Would Kenyon Drake be ready for a bowl game? Ronnie, my short answer is no.
I'm just hoping he's ready for spring practice, to be honest with you. That was a nasty, injury he had, but he is making progress. He's walking around. I saw him, Gary, walking without any device to help him, so looks like he's coming around really well.
Yeah, plus, as talented as he is, still, no need to rush him back. This team has found other ways to score points and be productive. So, he just needs to make sure he's healthy for next year. All right, coming up, thanks for the phone calls, by the way. We'll be wrapping up the show. The Alabama basketball team has a busy week, and when we come back, we'll hear from the Tide as they prepare for a big road test this evening. Stay with us on a pretty night in West Alabama. We're back after this. 4 games in 9 days. That's the stretch the Alabama men's basketball team is in the middle of. They defeated Tennessee Tech on Saturday night. Tonight they head into a very hostile environment. Wichita State up in Kansas, number 11 ranked team in the country. Coach Grant understands the importance of stretches like this one.
Knowing his teams, they've always been very good teams, very competitive teams, and obviously what they've done the last couple of years, I think, they've gotten the recognition of everybody nationally, but I think any coach that has played against Coach Marshall's teams will tell you they've always been very, very tough.
You can see that game tonight on ESPN2. Then Friday, Alabama back home for a game against Stillman College right here in Tuscaloosa before finishing the pre-Christmas schedule against App State on Sunday. Then December 28th, UCLA comes to town with their head coach Steve Alford. All right, Rodney, that's going to do it for the show. And it's dinner time, so we're headed to Buddy's Rib and Steak up in Northport. Come out and see us in about 20 minutes or so. Also, thanks to the Locker Room for our shirts tonight, original elephant wear. You can shop in person on the University Strip or go out and get on the internet and shop right off your computer. All right, that's going to do it for the show. For Rodney, I'm Gary. Thanks for watching. Good night.